yeah, Jude Law. Oh my God, he's
That's true. He was everywhere, and you don't. He shows up in stuff, but I haven't seen it. Like he had the Sherlock Holmes movies. That's a few years ago. I think he was in Captain Marvel, which I didn't see. Maybe it's his choice. He's got to be
Yeah.
very successful. Maybe he's got a family going or something.
yeah, he was in so much. He's got to have earned enough money from all that. Maybe AI will bring him back, and we'll have Jude Law everywhere once again because we'll have the artificial version.
Yeah.
Jude Law, but soulless.
Hello and welcome to the Quackcast. I'm Ozone Ocean, and we have Tance and Baines. Hello.
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 We're on Quackcast number 645 now. And we're talking about artificial intelligence. Again, the state of it. Because it's gone way worse than when we first talked about it just a very short time ago, didn't we? Didn't we talk about it? We talked about in terms of the artwork programs like Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, all that kind of bullshit. Yeah. So, but now it's everywhere. It's sunk its little tendrils into every last crevice.
And why? Because you people just had to date robots. Don't date robots.
Use protection. Goodness sake.
Yes.
That's how we get Jude Law.
Oh God! When I saw him in that film, that was it was AI, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
When I saw him in that, I thought, oh my God, he's every bloody place now. And then he suddenly disappeared. So we didn't know how good we had it back then in the 90s. Yeah, that was peak Jude Law, but then he disappeared, and now we don't have him in anything anymore, and I miss him.
I don't miss him myself.
A lawless land.
And honestly, I have to say that in AI, Jude Law was one of the best elements.
Yeah, he was awesome in that film, actually. Yeah, that kid.
Yeah.
What was it, Haley Joel Osment again?
I don't remember his name.
Someone that looks like him. Yeah, the kid was shit, but kid actors are usually shit. All right, so let's get into the topic of the Quackcast. Well, the other things about the Quackcast. So I've got to introduce the feature comic. Feature comic this week is Eco Crew. So Ozone Ocean will tell you about Eco Crew now. Hello, I'm Ozone Ocean, and my feature for the week was Eco Crew. This little environmental crew are doing their best to battle a ferocious dinosaur in the frigid darkness of Antarctica, while introducing their comic by battering down the fourth wall to chat about it with each other. The artwork is flawless, colourful and compelling. The story is a fantasy sci-fi humour and hasn't quite gotten off the ground yet, but shows great potential. Definitely one to follow and see how it develops and deepen. Promises to be something really, really interesting and fascinating, especially if it continues to live up to the promise that is given us so far with this amazing artwork and interesting, funny humour. I really enjoy it, and I hope you do too. There's a good little touch of interesting comedy in it, and the artwork is fascinating with the way it looks. It's not typical, I think. It's quite original looking. Anyway, I hope you enjoy Eco Crew, and this is a comic by Krause Ox, and it's rated T for teen. And that was Eco Crew. I hope you enjoyed me talking about Eco Crew. Alright, so next up we have the featured music. This week Gumball has given us the theme to Domestic Hellland. Full of optimism and hope. Great things are just around the corner. Life is amazing and wonderful. Things are about to happen. This is a very positive sounding piece. It's all synth, piano, and electric guitar. It's full of happiness and light. So take it away, Gummels, with your theme to Domestic Helen.
「
that was Gun Monsters featured music, the theme to Domestic Hellland, which is a comic by Sheep Shakat, and it's rated M for mature. So, after that, we're talking about AI. AI. I.
Ay,
I like you very much. That was a song by some singer, I can't remember.
I was going for Puerto Rico.
Yeah. That could be the Puerto Rican characters from West Side Story.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. All right. Okay, so AI is just it's the craze of all the tech companies now. Everyone's wanting to produce their own AI. They're racing towards it. Generative AI, that's the thing. They want to produce generative AI, and I think last time we did a Quackcast about the specifically targeting the image generation stuff. Mid-Journey and Stable Diffusion, and we touched on a little bit of the other kind of AI. The stuff that does music or stuff that does scripts and all that kind of stuff. The writing one. ChatGPT 4, whatever. But now it's become way more of a subject because it's not just a fun thing for people to play with. Now these companies have invested massively in it, and shitty. Oh, sorry, we're not allowed to swear on the Quackcast. We're only allowed to swear in the Patreon video. These mid-tier companies are now investing in they're not investing, they're using ChatGPT 4 and other AI things in order to lay off actual employees and just produce stuff that would normally be produced by actual people who are employed to make stuff and create stuff. We're talking script writers, we're talking article writers, I don't know,
artists.
Maybe graphic designers, maybe artists, possibly. I haven't heard about any artists who have been chucked out of their jobs, but I know that they're very crappy, like novel writers or this kind of stuff, who would normally hire artists to do their covers and things, and maybe musicians, maybe the crappier level publishing companies who would normally get book covers and stuff like that. I can imagine some of them are doing this, but I haven't heard about any publishing companies doing this. But I have heard about, say, book writers and stuff who would normally get an artist.
Not the publishing companies, but advertising, like digital advertising companies, have been reported to ask their artists, that make the little images
Logos.
for blog posts and covers for ads and that kind of artwork, to submit their entire portfolio so that they can train the engine to create that style without the artist.
Wow. Well, that is the sharp end of the issue right there. That is the point of the sword. That is the evil. So, and we've got like writers who have had this problem as well. Script writers, article writers, they're having this issue. We've had there were a couple of lawyers actually who they had chance you've seen on Legal. They had this big case to try, and instead of like actually looking up the precedents for in different cases that related to this one that they had to deal with, they just asked ChatGPT to do it for them. And theoretically you'd think maybe a moron would think that ChatGPT is like a search engine, and we'll just go and look up this stuff and put it in a format you can use. But no, ChatGPT is not a freaking search engine. It's a generative program that. So what it does is it looks through what's available and then it puts it into a format that mimics the way a human would format information. That's all it does.
Yeah.
In this generative form, it just mimics the way a human would format stuff. And in what it did for them is it artificially created, well, not artificially created, it mimicked cases that had already been done, because that's what these people wanted. So it gave them what would you say, like a simulacrum of a case that's been done.
Well, what they did was it created some very weird arguments that had no case backlog as precedent. So, however, in order normally to cite to show that there is precedent, that there have been previous cases that have similar rulings and all of that, you cite case law. So you cite certain cases and what they said, what the ruling was inside, blah, blah, blah. So what ChatGTP is it cited cases that never existed, because what it does is it creates the impression of how such a document looks like, but it does not fact check, it does not do any research, and it definitely does not understand content. It just creates, and creates in a lot of quotes. It generates similar looking content that may or may not make sense to a human that is going to be reading it. So, what happened was that they filed this thing, and of course, the opposition tore them 3 new fines, and because they didn't find this case law that they were citing, and this apparently is a great big no-no. It is contempt to the court and a whole range of other things. And so now, they ended up, getting recommended for disbarment and stuff. And it was hilarious. I really enjoyed that. Lots of Schadenfreude there, and I was really happy about that. So.
It was insanely stupid, because it only takes minutes these days to fact check that stuff, which they didn't do. They were super lazy, so they can't even use the argument that we thought that this thing actually finds this stuff, but no, you didn't check it. You didn't check anything. You just put the information into this ChatGTP and just handed over what it spat out like a moron.
Yeah.
So, and these are big cases too. So you deserve what you're going to get. This was a case that it couldn't be tried in a state court. It should only be tried in a federal kind of thing. And they thought, but this precedents prove that it can be tried in a state court. So we're allowed to do it, but no, sorry, they don't exist.
Yeah.
Ah, dear. But that's a good example of idiots using ChatGPT, and it's just going on. It's
a good example in the sense of what ChatGPT does. It will not make your work for you. It will make a collage, in a sense, of things that have come before you, but it will not be your work, first of all. And second of all, it is very likely not going to be cohesive. And perhaps not on a surface level. And I will give you an example very soon, very quickly. But definitely, like in a very meaningful level. So I am a writer and I do commissions as a writer alongside because in Greece you have to be a busker and do like a gazillion different jobs to survive. So in any case, I do this commission work where I write things for people and I create them from usually what I do is I take journals that are very scientific and I make them suitable for consumption by lay people. Uh, but I had this
Hmm.
client that came to me with a layout created by ChatGPT,
Oh God.
and she said, "I want you to write me this article." And I looked through the layout, and you know what? On surface, it sounded sort of logical, like
Mm.
start off with doing this, go on by doing this, but it didn't really have a logical um, cohesion, and it was impossible. It was the layout for like 10,000 words, whereas this was supposed to be the layout for 3,000 words.
Oh.
If that makes sense. And also it was repeating things, it was overlapping things. So if you were to follow this layout, you would end up with a super bloated text,
Mm.
not even an article really, a text that kept repeating stuff and didn't have the concept that you have already mentioned this. You don't need to say it again. So
Right.
what so what I
Because it
told her
didn't
was
know. It didn't understand that
no,
aspect.
no, 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 no. It was just like and you could see that this thing had been trained on some kind of English 101 layouts for whatever, and it was
Mm.
just filling in these blanks as a machine would. And I told this woman, listen, this cannot be done. But what I can do is make an outline along these lines that actually make sense. And then I will write you this article. And she was really overjoyed over this. That's what we went with. So what I'm saying is that people think that this thing creates cohesive
Mm.
work, but it doesn't. And you can tell it in the details. And not really all that minute details. It will just regurgitate stuff the way that one vomits, really. It just vomits in an organized fashion, and that's all it does.
Yeah. It's
Sorry
like a
for the
child.
language.
It's like a child. I mean, he's not as intelligent as a child, but it's like a child who's asked to do. Oh yeah, you do this project, and they just go and copy it straight out of the encyclopedia. You know, that kind of thing. It's basically what's
Yeah.
happening.
And even worse, because it would be like taking three encyclopedias and just overlapping all the articles on the same entry, and then just lifting any sentence that happens to be more prominent.
Mm.
And that seems to be like, as a layperson, as far as computers go and stuff, that seems to be like the kind of holes in Chat GPT and AI that will not be improved really. Things might be improved with AI, but that kind of thing, understanding the meaning below the content, um, pretty tough to
Yeah.
be, to reach for a computer to reach that understanding. It, my guess is that will never happen. I don't
Well,
know
I would.
in what ways it'll improve. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, it might improve.
I don't know if I say never, but yeah, it seems to be a significant issue. Yeah, because if it can't understand stuff, then there is obviously a huge limitation.
Yeah. The thing is that the human brain interprets things and AI doesn't. And what do I mean by this? Transformative work is completely different than generative work. And I'll try to explain what I mean. A person, an artist, which I'm going to tackle this adage of you artists look at the painting, get inspired, create your own in the same style or whatever. And that's exactly what stable diffusion does or whatever. So this is wrong. And the wrongness of it is that an AI recognizes shapes. I'm talking now about images, okay? An AI recognizes shapes and hues and shades and translates all that into ones and zeros or whatever it is that is the coding language. And then what it does is it correlates all of these shapes that it has taken from innumerable different images created by people and then creates the same correlation with different values. So what it does, it is a mathematical equation that it creates and then changing the values, the x and y in this equation, it creates new images. This is not what the human brain does. The human brain creates an entire logic behind what it is seeing. That's why, unlike a computer, we can see a face in a dumpster or at the front of a car, a face with expression. Okay, and this is why we can see a face in the moon, or what have you, a face in the surface of your coffee. Memes about this work only because we can all do that.
Yeah, pareidolia.
Precisely. So this thing, what does this mean? It means that our mind is wired to see patterns and translate them into something entirely different, unrelated to the pattern. It is a completely different process and it cannot be coded, at least not in the way that it is being coded now with these generative machines. So when someone is inspired and looks at Mona Lisa and then creates the same Mona Lisa in the subway smoking, which is, I'm saying this because it's something that you can ask Stable Diffusion to do. The person that is going to draw this will have put so much thought about this Mona Lisa that is at the subway smoking, that it is going to tell you a story behind.
Yeah.
And this story that you are going to take is going to be completely yours, but primed by whatever the artist has thought of. The generative thing is going to creep you out and send you to Uncanny Valley very quickly. The longer you look at it, the more it's going to morph before your eyes. So, and the reason for that is that it has just correlated different things to create something that fits the algorithm that it has. So in the long run, it doesn't know what it has created. Okay. And
that is totally ignorant.
That's the big difference. And that's why it is a tool and not an artist.
Exactly. There's no intention behind the work. That's it. I've said it before. It's this is work created without intention, which makes it abhorrent to me, because intention is what you see in any good artwork, and I'm talking like not just imagery, but scripts
Mhm.
or music or anything like that, anything that's created, there's intention, which means there's thought, which means there's direction, which means communication from the artist to the viewer, and that's impossible with this AI generated work. You might say, oh, but there was intention from the prompter, but that's so limited because all you can do is you can direct the larger kind of concepts behind it. Yeah, I want to like have a female Batman in New York City, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so there's that kind of stuff. But what about the shape of her costume and the shape of her armor, and the lighting and the kinds of cars that are around her, the weather of the day where you're depicting the image, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
None of that is the intention of the prompter. All of that is the AI just averaging it out based on the input that it's stolen. So
Yeah.
yeah, and that is huge. That's not a little thing. That's a massive thing, because an artist, everything is intentional, even when it's not like deliberate kind of, oh yeah, now I want all the cars to be like Fords or something like that. Even when it's not that, it's still intention, which makes it far more interesting and far more like directional.
Yeah, and the thing is that, okay, in images that we create just for fun and to shoot the bull and stuff like that, yeah, okay, it doesn't make complete sense. We just want to give an idea, like an impression, and it's gone and it's fine and we're playing, and that's fine. Or it could even be used for inspiration, like, oh, okay, I like the way this thing looks. I'm going now to create something that inspired me because I saw this thing that was generated by, stable diffusion or whatever. You can try things out and all of that. Fine. However, if you have this massive company that decides to solely use these generative machines to create what humans were creating up to now, then what you are going to have is a progressively degenerative production of things
Hmm.
that don't make sense. And why am I
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
this? Because eventually people are going to stop creating stuff, so there will be a lot less material to train your machine on, or it will be trained on stuff made by other machines.
Yeah, photocopy of a photocopy, or
Exactly.
yeah, a copy of a copy, which always leads us down into a degraded process.
Yeah.
That's just how that works. Yeah.
It's really, I think in the case is it's not, the AI is not evil, and it's absolutely super useful
No.
in certain things. It's just being used in the wrong place.
Well, it's the people who are using it
Mm.
who have the power to use it. So we're not talking like individuals, like Bob down the road. It's these companies who wanting to get rid of the middleman. They're wanting to get rid of the not even the middleman. They're wanting to get rid of their actual workforce who
Mm.
are trained and skilled and do these creative jobs and just save money. Those are
Yeah.
the evil people. And even if they're thinking, oh, but we're just saving money, we're just we have to feed our families, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter. By not thinking about someone, by running roughshod over someone else's needs, you're being evil. You are an evil influence in the world.
You have to feed
So
your
that's where it
families.
is.
Usually, the people taking these decisions are not worrying about food, they're worrying about the yacht. I'll be honest. That's the level. But yeah, the thing is that tools have a place where they should be used. And AI is perfect for doing the grunt work. And what I mean by this is sorting out through massive data sets, um, giving you a short list of things that you have to look through, always with human supervision. It is perfect.
Yeah.
It is great for this, as a matter of fact.
It should only ever be used for that. That's what it's specialized for. Yeah, so if someone has to look through thousands of images to say, okay, we've got all these scans, like medical scans, where they're we have to find cancers in these CT scans or something like that. So you give it to the AI. It's specialized. It's trained to look for that kind of stuff. Yeah, and give it to that, but only give it to that stuff when it has like a 99% like success rate in finding these things.
Exactly.
I mean, if there's false positives,
Mhm.
sure, give it to the people to double check. But if there's false negatives, then you can't use it. Even if there's like 97% false negatives, then that's a death sentence for a whole bunch of people. So yeah,
Absolutely.
but that's the kind of thing it should be used for.
Exactly. And that's not for everything. You could have it do a major do the first level of edits in a novel, for example.
Like a spell checker, yeah.
Yes, like
is-
a glorified spell checker, and I don't mean to have it make the changes, but to flag all the stuff that may need correcting, and then a human goes over this, because some of the things that may need correcting could be stylistic and need to stay in to keep the text unique, and having the author's style and so on and so forth. But it will be looking through and picking out every single possible mistake, because it is AI. And this is what you want to do to shorten the time.
Grammar errors and stuff. Yeah, it's like you say, it's jobs that require human supervision, but would be, it's the first level of a job that would require human supervision. But yeah, you take care of all the boring kind of hard stuff,
And you leave
repetitive stuff.
exactly, and you leave the creative stuff to humans, because that's what we are perfect for, to create stuff.
Yes, not only is it like it's taking away the jobs of the people who are like experts in these fields and they've trained and they really know what they're doing. It's the fact that they know they will always produce better stuff. They'll always produce far better stuff that people want to see, that is more useful. The ChatGPTs of the world and the Mid-Journeys and Stable Diffusions can never produce stuff that will be connecting with their audiences the way the real people do. And I'm talking about like articles, like scientific articles. Now people are like wankers are using this, ChatGPT to generate that for them. Like, no, it's not going to produce a very good article, because
You know what? That's not
Go on.
only that it's not going to be a very good article. This is downright unethical, because going back to the lawsuit that ChatGPT created, imagine submitting a journal article for research created by ChatGPT, which quotes and mentions statistics that don't exist.
Exactly, which is what these things are just going to keep. And like you say, they'll get worse. And this has been proved out. I was reading an article about saying the newest version of ChatGPT 4, is performing worse than ChatGPT 3.5. Its performance level is degrading in certain aspects, which is interesting, like over time. And it's probably because of the situation you mentioned, like feeding on errors.
Exactly. And the thing is that because unfortunately, our society is run by people that are looking for maximization of profit without any kind of quality checks. They don't really care about that. And we unfortunately have lots of illustrations of this pattern lately. I'm going to reference, and it is macabre, but I'm going to reference the Titan disaster because not because it was made by ChatGPT or whatever, this submersible.
Titanic disaster.
Well, the Titanic happened a longer time ago, but
yeah.
The Titan submersible was not, of course, made by anything generative. However, it was made by a man that was looking to forego all checks and regulations and everything that was put in there by humans and to cut costs so that it could create basically a shoebox in terms of what was going to be set down there that would maximize his profit. And that got him and other people killed. So it's a pattern.
It's basically enabling a kind of Dunning-Kruger kind of effect, but it's always Dunning-Kruger. I mean, it's not innate. It's giving power and it's actioning Dunning-Kruger, which is unfortunate because everyone who's an look. Okay, so to explain Dunning-Kruger, it means if you know a bit about something, you usually imagine you know a lot more than you do. But if you're an expert at something, you are smart enough about that thing to know that there's more stuff that you probably don't know. So that's basically what Dunning-Kruger is. But everybody suffers from it. It's not just stupid people. Everybody does because there's always something we don't know, and we think we know more about it than anything else. But ChatGPT now, and say with that guy with the Titan disaster, money enabled him. That was his enabler. He thought, I've got money, so I can, I think this is how it's done. Money will make sure that I can put my ideas into practice. And
there's also I have lots of money, therefore I am a genius. I have seen this as well. But beyond that...
Elon Musk.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole money thing is very unfortunate because you have a lot of yes men surrounding you, like sycophants, and
they'll
like,
tell you're doing
right. That
say with ChatGPT now and Stable Diffusion and Midjourney, these kind of people, again, they don't have the skills, they don't have any idea what they're doing, but these programs enable them with their Dunning-Kruger, and they think, oh yes, I can produce scripts, I've got this thing, I can produce the artwork, the animation, the music, because I've got this thing. And it's these tools in the hands of morons enabling them to
and if you have been on
vomit their morality out.
If you have been on Reddit, there are so many people that have this intense revenge fantasy of, now I, that I'm talentless, now have this artificial talent that will create things, and I will outclass you talented people, sort of thing. And I have read people honestly writing things like this out, like now I am also an artist, and I will make sure that artists can starve, and things like this. And they don't understand that artists have always been starving, first of all. But the other thing is that they will never be able to be artistic if they don't sit down and put in the work. Even if they start off with a generated image, they still need to go over and edit it and sort of tweak it to become something logical.
They have no idea. They never will.
Yeah, and they don't really know how to do it anyway in the first place. But what I'm saying is that there are a lot of people that feel that they can get back at people that have talent when they don't have talent. Like there's a lot of complex thing happening, um, which is unfortunate. um, but yeah, eventually enough people will get screwed, and I'm not talking. This is not a swear word. I mean, out of their livelihoods or even out of their lives, and then we will get regulation of this.
Hopefully.
Now, this is how things happen.
Well, yeah. So far, we have the Hollywood writers and actors who are doing what is it, strikes and stuff like that because they
Yeah.
don't want their work just being copied with AI and then artificially produced. And we really loved these. Well, I mean, we didn't love it, but we liked the younger version of Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian, right? And before that, there was the younger version of the Tron guy in the Tron 2, which was like 10 years. No, it was like 13 years ago, that film. But now we have Carrie Fisher, appearing in Star Wars films, and yeah, the version's still alive. So this is the kind of thing that people think, oh, this is good, this is interesting, this is cool, but they don't realize that's just the thin end of the wedge. Once they start doing that, then there's this idea of like actors will basically be immortal. They'll never die. We'll keep on having them forever. Like we were having this talk about Jude Law, how he used to be everywhere in the movies in the 90s. He was just like everywhere, and everyone noticed this. It was not just us. This was like a universal thing. Everyone like thought, oh, bloody Jude Law is in everything. But now with AI, this kind of thing could literally be a real thing. This could happen. Like if the studios think an actor's bankable, they'll just like do a scan of them. They'll just do like they'll record them saying a whole bunch of crap and produce a digital version of this character, this actor, and then they'll just be in every single movie forever.
Yeah, which is a
Forever
bit.
and ever.
That's a bit dystopian as well. Like you never let the person die, which
They'll
is
never age.
yeah.
Even they'll never get wrinkles or zits. Never get pregnant.
Yeah.
Never change their hairstyle.
Stops evolution, kind of like moving on to new things.
But if you're going to be doing this, you have to pay the people royalties for their frigging likenesses. They are, you are basically buying a product that you want to use in order to create money. Since you are monetizing someone's likeness, pay them. So that's why you should support these people that are going on strike the way that strikes should happen until people are getting what they want.
Or more than that, so we have like script writers who are meant to provide samples of their works so these AI can generate works and go on, but that shouldn't be allowed at all. AI should not be allowed in any script writing process, any generative process that involves producing work. No way. It shouldn't be allowed in that process. And when we're talking about like pay an actor if you can use their likeness, well, the thing is the studios will just skip that and they'll do what the Japanese have done with these various anime creations, and they'll be totally artificially generated characters, and even the voices will be artificially generated. So there was never something it's based on. It's always based. It's always every level of it is artificial. So the human will be like this this averaged out artificially generated human, not based on a real person. And their voice will be this averaged out artificially generated voice, not based on a real voice. So that's what they'll start doing if they have to pay actors royalties. So really what we've got to do is like say, no, we don't want AI on our screens at all. Like, I just have a total ban of it, because that's what it's going to end up happening.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I honestly agree. There are, there is a thing about when and where to use the tool, and how. So yeah, just it's really interesting that Jurassic Park line. You were so excited of whether you could, that you didn't think of whether you should.
Yeah.
Is so salient in our time. Because yeah.
It
Mm,
really is. It's scary what can happen. Yeah, we've got to just limit the tech bros from creative works
yeah.
because yeah,
Well,
they.
it's not the tech bros, it's the broker bros. It's the guys that say, how can we have free labor?
Yeah.
And I could go all the way with the, oh, now my brain freeze. What's that when everyone brings Hitler into the situation? What's the,
Um, ah, God, we need to ask ChatGPT.
It's
oh,
the Dunning Hitler effect.
It's a Nazi fallacy. I don't
no,
know.
no, no, no. I'm going to Google it. Uh,
Hitler fallacy.
no, no, no. It's got a name. It's Godwin's law. Okay, I
Okay.
was not going to. So I'm going. I could even Godwin law this because they did try to do that in the 40s, like zero free slave labor with humans, and it backfired when the camps were liberated. And now they're just digitalizing the free labor, hopefully in hopes of being able to bypass the human element of having to pay workers.
Hmm.
And that is also going to backfire, but I'm not sure how much and to what extent, if this is allowed to continue. But we will see.
I agree that in some way it'll backfire. I guess it's the question of how, in what way will it backfire? How long will it take? And hoping for a minimum of suffering of
Hmm.
people in between.
I don't know. The way only see it backfiring now is like the training data sets that we were talking about before, because they'll come up against the fact that big copyright holders will be put out so much that say there's the AI programs that generate music. So the big copyright holders there will go, I'm sorry, but we own the copyright exclusively to like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of music that you've used to train your system. So we're suing you into the ground. We're suing your ancestors for
Mm.
for using our stuff. So the music industry won't take kindly to that. You've
Mm,
got big copyright holders like Getty Images, people like that who've had their data sets used illegally, and we've got we've got lawsuits starting to happen in that
yeah.
regard. So
And we have not even considered the criminal element in all of this. Because if you can train anyone, anyone's voice, likeness, or whatever to do whatever through AI, what is stopping you from revenge porn? What is stopping you
mm,
from incriminating a person, or putting out a tape of them saying things that they never said, and a whole range of things that,
it's already started. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I could digitize Bane's voice. I could digitize yours, and like I could be one of these dickheads and type. Okay, I'm not gonna have Tants and Banes on the Quackcast anymore. I'm just gonna write them. I'm just gonna have ChatGTV just auto generate their stuff and have
yeah,
these voice things just read it out, and that's how it's gonna be. That would be interesting in its dystopianness because it would produce weird crap and it would fail very quickly.
Yeah.
And I would deserve it.
And yes, and then you would be sued because if you didn't get Bain's permission or my permission to use our faces and our voices, then that would be a no-no.
Yes.
It'd be really bad in many different ways. Yeah, many different ways. So, yeah, but that kind of thing. I mean, that what I've just said is possible,
Mhm.
and I don't know. Maybe it's already happening. Maybe people are already doing that kind of crap.
I did hear about the case, but don't quote me on that, of a poor teacher, like elementary school teacher, that lost her job because she was seen in a porn movie, and then it came out that it was just a deep fake or something like that.
Really?
That's
Yeah,
awful.
Yeah.
and although she was exonerated and that it was never her, she still lost her job because the image was still there and blah blah blah.
Okay, this is. I'm going on a tangent there. Even if she had done a porn willingly and she'd got money out of it, they still shouldn't be able to fire her. That's stupid because that's not related to teaching. I mean, and the fact that she didn't and someone created that. I mean, these people should have their fucking grandchildren sued. I'm leaving that swear word in because that is bad. That they should be. That's disgusting to do that to someone.
Yes.
It really is awful. Well, we're going to get cut off by the Google AI now, so
Yeah.
thank you for listening.
Anyway, support
Angel.
the actors, guys. If you can, support their fund. Help them outlast Hollywood in
And the
this.
script writers and everyone.
Right.
And the
Yeah.
script writers. Yes, please support them.
Because, like, you don't want to watch crappy films, and they really will be crappy once the AI
Crappy
gets
air.
hold of it.
Crappier than they are now.
Oh, you don't know how crap they're gonna be. They're gonna be so bad.
Yeah,
Right.
it's going to make I don't know what was the crappiest. The Room look like Shakespeare.